Okay, so the recording has now started. It is 4:32 on Monday, January 9th, and we're here for the Westland City Audit Committee. I am Lauren Breithaupt. I'm the finance director here. I'll go around the room and then online so everyone can introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Coe. I'm the finance manager.
There.
Bill Relio, City Council.
Tanya Moffett, auditor with Marine and Company.
Abby Farber, member of the Audit Committee, Westland resident.
Amanda Taylor with Marina and Company Audit.
Well, thank you all for being here. We have completed the audit as of the end of the calendar year. And everything went really well. We had another successful year with clean opinions, no findings, no major issues. We, as always, have really enjoyed working with Marina and Company and Tanya and her team, and it's just been a great experience. This year was a little crazy in terms of our finance staff. We had a large amount of turnover. Nothing bad, but just a lot of people moving on to other opportunities or moving out of state. And so we had pretty much like a brand new finance team. Over 50% of our staff was new. And so that was a really busy, it's been a busy year and a big learning curve this year. So, but I think that, you know, our team's been really great and we did it, we got it together. And as I said, Tanya's team's been great. And I'll turn it over to Tanya for the presentation of everything.
Yeah, so the city received for last year's financial statements. So the 6/30/2021 audited financial statements, they received the annual comprehensive financial report or ACFR award. And so I just like to point that out. The city is going for the ACFR award for the 2022 year as well. That is an award that the city has to submit for. It costs a little bit of money to help fund it, but it basically, there's a higher set of standards that the city does. Like at the back of the financial statements, there's what's called the statistical section, which has 10 years of historical information. And that's something that is not required in a traditional financial statement or gap-based financial statement. That is something special that's for the award. There's also the letter of transmittal and things like that. It just goes to show the level of information that the city's putting out, financial information that they're putting out, because those 10-year schedules take a lot of time and effort to put together. But it is really nice because then you can see all the comparative information. Where were we 10 years ago? Where are we now? Where were we in the middle? And so it is kind of interesting to be able to look at some of that information. Some's financial, some is statistical information, some's on the debt, some is on like, you know, number of police, number of individuals, as well as like top businesses, employers in the city, things like that as well is in there.
Property taxes.
Yeah, property taxes, some revenue information. So it just goes to show the level of effort that the team took the time to still do that this year, even with being short-staffed. And so we fully anticipate that they will receive the award for the June 30, 2022 audit. For the June 30, 2022 audit, we had a clean opinion or an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, which is the highest level of a financial statement opinion that we're allowed to give on the financial statements, which means that we had full access to everything that we asked for. We were able to find support for the things that we needed. We don't just go to finance, we go to other areas within the city as well and ask for information. So we look at things, for example, like ORS 279, which is the public purchasing. So anytime that the city does a contract, we do a sample of those to make sure that it was published in the newspaper, that everybody had an opportunity to bid, that there was a fair process. So we look at that too. So we look at some of those compliance things that are not necessarily related to, per se, financial related. And we look at those as well. And we are happy to report that we didn't have any findings on that report. And that report's at the back of the financial statements. And it's specifically things that the Oregon State Legislature has said these are important things that individuals should know about Oregon municipalities. And so they have some specific things, some specific rules, like Oregon budget law, that you're following that. Collateralization, that the money is in a safe bank, that if the bank were to collapse, that the money's not just going to go away, that there's some sort of insurance there. So those are the kinds of things that we look at. We didn't have any findings in any of those areas that we looked at for compliance either. There were no new significant accounting policies adopted from previous years. We found that management's estimations and assumptions were adequate. So there are some numbers in the financial statements that are estimates, the largest being the pension liability. That's not a number that the city staff makes up. That's a number that comes from an actuary. So there's like actuary, I don't know.
Thank goodness I don't have to come up with that.
It's kind of like an actuary black box, but they have standards that they have to use. They have to use specific rates of return and discount rates and all of that kind of stuff. And so they follow those standards. And so that is the largest estimated number on the financial statements. I always tell people, yes, there is a liability out there, but as long as you're making your required annual payments, you're theoretically paying for that liability. So if you just stopped paying, then you would be in trouble. But those payments are, you're funding it now. So you have retirees now that are already on FERS. When you make those payments, part of that is going to pay for that liability. It's just that future liability. There's also the other post-employment healthcare benefit is another estimate on the financial statements. Depreciation, we don't know exactly how long an asset's going to last. I'm going to pick on the police here for a second, not because I don't like the police. I love the police, but police cars are a great example. They might have them for 2 days and then something happens to it. We don't know how long a police car, and then they might have other police cars that last 20 years. So you just don't know how long it's going to last. So the city has specific number of years that they associate with those vehicles, but some might be less, some might be more, same with buildings and things like that. So depreciation is one of the other estimates in the financial statements as well. And then allowance for doubtful accounts. So if somebody doesn't pay the city for something that they, if they have a bill, like a sewer bill or a water bill, and they don't pay, there's an allowance set up that, that you might not collect 100% of what you, so those are the largest estimates. There were no misstatements, material misstatements in there. In some cases, management might decide to obtain a second opinion for certain situations. We're not aware of any of the outside consultation this year. So it was a good year. It's a really good year. Does anybody have any questions?
For the audit.
Yeah, it's the audit. Maybe not for Lauren or her stress level, but does anybody have any questions on like audit process? Oh, great. Yes, Abby.
Thank you. I used my fancy little hand thing here. Just some general questions. First of all, I've always found Lauren and her staff, very forthcoming. They educate us well, even us residents who don't really have a day-to-day involvement in this. So it's, I'm one of those weird people that actually enjoy, hearing from you, being, based on what I do. So just a couple questions. It sounded like you said there were no changes in accounting policies, anything like that. So nothing big came down from whoever it is that oversees GAAP.
Yeah, it's the Government Accounting Standard Board, or GASB, is who oversees it.
Right.
Not this year. There are
Good.
some big ones. There are some bigger ones coming up, but not for this year.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. It sounds like the audit went very well. Do you feel like things are being conducted timely? Bank reconciliations, depreciation, all that stuff. I know you can see when things were conducted, and you feel that despite the number of staff, they're keeping up with things.
Yeah, and that was one of the things we were definitely concerned about, just because we knew that there were so many vacancies. But the critical internal controls were still being done in a timely manner, as well as the city also took an opportunity to look at some of those controls and make sure that they still needed to be in place. So several years ago, there was some misfortunes in the city.
Many years ago.
Yeah, many years ago. And so I think that when that happened, then every control that could possibly be put in place, like basically was put in place to make sure that nothing bad happened. And which is great, but at the same time, sometimes those can be overkill, and they can also limit people being able to do their jobs. You know, when you have to have 3 sign-offs on something versus just 2 sign-offs. Or maybe the thresholds being really low where somebody doesn't have the authority, you know, at a very low level. Sometimes you can raise those authorities and stuff. And so it was a good opportunity for them to look at some of those things. I know there was a couple of changes, not anything that we were concerned about. They did talk to us beforehand just to make sure that it wasn't anything that was going to cause us any heartache. They still have the primary controls in place. They were just like extra controls, basically.
Good. That's very good to hear. Do you, another question just being, do you think, given there were some staff shortages, that proper, I always forget if it's segregation or separation of duties is being maintained?
Yes. So it can be either. You can call it either one. There's not necessarily like, it depends on the standard setting body, which way they say that. So either one is correct. So you don't have to worry about saying it incorrectly. They were still able to maintain the segregation of duties. It may not have been the same person that was supposed to do it. So like the assistant, when that position was vacant, then that control moved to somebody else. So they still had those segregation of duties or separation of duties. It just was not maybe the same person that had been identified as being that person in the past, you know.
Great, great. And I just wanted to ask Lauren, actually, do you feel like you're getting good support from the audit firm as well? Are you able to call them, say, during the year and say, you know, here's something new, or we're doing this or that, and that they're available to you during the year?
Oh, yes. I talk to Tanya frequently. Poor Tanya probably is like, gosh, this lady is calling me again. But no, I talk to Tanya very frequently. And I have a great relationship with her to just reach out, or in her team. And they are always really wonderful. And I'm actually sad because Tanya, Marina and Company is moving away from audits, and they're going to more consulting. And and we're going to run out our contracts. So we have a few more years left, but I am very sad that they're not going to be our audit firm for, you know, forever. I was just telling her, are you sure you don't want to just keep us as a client? And,
Yeah. Why not?
yeah,
So when are you going to have to do an RFP or whatever you have to do to get a new auditor?
Look at that, because we both weren't quite sure.
I think it's a few years out. It's maybe 2025, fiscal year 2025.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look, but we have a few years.
Never any fun. Lots of dog and pony shows from audit firms.
It's challenging to change auditors. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just it's a lot of work. But also just like, you know, starting over and getting everything, all the documents that from the last however many years to them, and you know, just starting over the new processes, the new learning curve. But it will be fine when we get there.
Good.
And we're always trying to give those documents to the new firm as well. So sometimes it's easier because we already have them kind of in the order and the way that they need them. So usually if they ask, we'll give it to them. So.
Oh, good. That is good to know. I've run into some audit firms that won't do it. They're like, nope, you gotta, you know, give them to yourself. So
We've
that's
always
good to
done
know.
that because we feel like it's a common courtesy and it helps the client. I mean, it's really easy for us to be able to download it and give it to the new auditing firm. And in our previous life before, when we always wanted to continue to be the auditors of that whatever entity, we knew that there was always a potential they'd come back to us. So, you know, I mean, and it's just best practice. So I have one client that terminated, like, is no longer our client from maybe 2 years ago, and they called me and I was helping them with a question with their new auditor, helping them try to figure it out. And so we want to make it as smooth of a transition period, whenever that is, too.
Great.
So.
Great, great. It sounds good.
Some of the big things that Tanya and I have been working a lot on, we were actually just talking about the ARPA funding and how we're gonna record that. Not necessarily how we're gonna spend it, it's more about the recording of it, which is kind of weird, but what year you're gonna book it in, how you're gonna show it in the budget, how you're gonna allocate it per se, and when we're gonna do either a single audit for it or a compliance test for it. And then we also have some FEMA money that we're getting from the 2021 ice storm. And so that's been coming in through. So we're likely going to have a single audit this year. One of the things that is going to be our biggest challenge is the new subscription-based IT standard, GASB standard, and there's just a lot to it. It's a new standard coming up that we have to implement next year, right? And we haven't really had an IT manager for a few months here, so I've been kind of waiting until we have someone in that position. So hopefully that will be soon, but we really will need to get all over that and start working on that, because that will be quite the hurdle next year to implement. So
Well, good luck with that. Those are
finish
all my
that line and then
questions.
we're starting again.
Those are all my questions. I can just, give accolades to both the finance staff who continue to do a great job, even with fewer staff, which is really tough. And glad for the auditors too. You always make things clear, and I appreciate it too.
Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone else?
Just thanks, Abby, for your participation as our citizen member.
Yes, thank you, Abby. We really appreciate it.
Like I said, I'm one of these strange people that enjoys talking about audits and ESSER and, single audits and that kind of stuff.
Great. Well, if there's no more questions, we'll conclude the meeting at 4:49, and we will see you all next fall for our audit kickoff meeting. So 2 more months.
Thank you.
Have a great one. Thank you all.
Bye.